Who else would find Afro but a cute Asian chick who knows how to nurse a naked homie back to life? All without removing his sacred headband too. Her name is Okiku, and damn, she's checking him out. She's checking him out real good. This episode tells of Afro's childhood within the framing device of him being taken care of like a child due to his injured condition. After his pappy died, he claimed the number 2 headband briefly and ended up on the streets carrying his father's skull and sword around. This put him in a spot of bother. Despite this dive of a world, he was found by 2 well-meaning orphans, who brought him to an orphanage, owned by a swordmaster, named Swordmaster. This left him in not too dissimilar a situation to his current one, bedridden and broken, only so fortunate to have been saved. Through the vignettes of Otsuru salving him, we see the facial expressions of that vulnerable younger version of himself look out of place on the hardened man that Afro has become. Of course, being taken care of by such a hottie, Double N has a thing or two to recommend. Afro obviously feels this desire, but it seems he's struggling to understand this sense of safety. This chick's cooking does remind him of the fish he'd catch and eat at the orphanage though. The same 2 kids that found him pushed him to eat, even though this kid was so damn low he didn't care anymore. Gino took responsibility for Afro and positioned himself strongly as an older brother figure. The girl Otsuru, being of similar age, reminds us of what a normal child's innocence looks like. Slowly, Afro joined in on training and the chores. Overhearing some talk about where the number 2 headband is, Afro decides to put his 1 day of training to use.
What the fuck? I'll show you a killer. When you fight to kill, finish the job.
It went better than you'd expect. In contrast to his difficulties then, the only threat so far in this episode is introduced and dealt with immediately in the next scene. Afro's back up to health, and he should really be on his travels. Okiku refuses payment and implores him to stay another night. Afro's expression here is peculiarly cold, distant. We see what's running through his mind, the consequences of his night on the town. Apparently asking Swordmaster about headbands, he gets a pretty wrathful rebuttal about how revenge is a fool's errand. Swordmaster speaks a commonly held truth, and he checks for blood on Afro's sword.
We are born men in order to live, not to kill.
Afro chokes down some apparently terrible-tasting lemonade to ease his murder-twisted stomach. This is what gave him a taste for this innocent drink that he cherishes to this day. Or perhaps it's a sign that he still hasn't let go of the guilt of chasing number 1, and that's why the mountain has rejected him. Lil Fro gets caught up when some dudes come at him for revenge, but he's ready now, using underhanded tactics and his nimble size to his advantage. Where his light weight gets him in trouble, he quickly thinks on his feet to turn that around. The evolution of his style is clear to see from here, as little Otsuru watches on. Gino and the orphan crew come in on the assist, and Afro gets told number 2's long gone. Shame. Later on, there's a brief glimpse at the forced dissolution of the orphanage, with Afro at the center of blame. Working through those haunting dreams physically, he runs into Okiku showering in a river, a distinguishing old scar from shoulder to hip. She gives him sex eyes, but it's to cover up for her talking to her bosses at the MT7 who've grown suspicious of her wetness. After all, once you go samurai, nothing else will satisfy.
Come on now, confess. You wanna hit that booty.
Alright, this chick's giving him lemonade now. It's like she wants to get caught. Luckily, they'd never put a sex scene in a Buddhist anime. It goes against the 5 precepts like killing, stealing, drug use, or lying. Okiku admits she was lying, having been an MT7 ninja, stealing Afro's memories, and being the very same Otsuru of those memories. It seems Afro realized early that he was being preyed upon, but did he hang around knowing this was his childhood friend? Before that can be addressed, they're raided. The tension of the episode is bottled up and carbonated into this moment. Otsuru dies right in front of our boy, they get away with his data, and the house is torched. Afro cradles the girl in his arms amidst the inferno. He takes nothing with him save a comb, which neatly tucks into his fro. Perhaps the only person who still loved him in this world is gone. Seems there are some things he still hasn't let go of in this world. Afro walks in from the very bottom this time to Ninja Ninja's bemusement. It's clearly a trap. He's already being recorded by Brother 2. Said brothers are arguing who to send this week to destroy Afro. Only 2 chime in. Only Brother 4 and 5 bring suggestions. Brother 6 obviously wants to suggest himself, and Brother 3, that dude is suspicious. His power level must be immense. Brother 1 says they can't send a foreigner who might covet the headband himself. And he reveals that he's made a robot clone of Afro, using the dream data Okiku stole. There's a point, I swear there's a thematically resonant point to this.